Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. Dun, dun, dun. We'll see if YouTube kicks in here. Listen, do we get to hear Brian's wonderful singing? Brief. Dun, dun, dun. Yay, there he is. All right, good. All right, well, at least that's rock and roll. Actually, nice to see. We got a bunch of people in the lounge this morning. So good morning, all you TRIers. And Kevin was telling me he's still getting quite a few views of the daily brief, so that's good to see. If anything, today is it's a dose of Brian. So you get a whack at Julian tomorrow, so that'll be a little bit refreshing. But unfortunately for a guy like me, today is all about, oh boy, I'm not as bulletproof as I thought I was, and I'm prone to making mistakes just like the rest of us. And at least one good thing is it was a mistake made through a trading competition, so it wasn't like I was risking my retirement funds or anything to that effect. Brian kind of fucked up overnight and woke up to a very nasty treat on the Bybit competition. And actually, I make my journal entries public. And really what I would like at some point down the road is in sort of the developer phase of TRI, we have a bunch of widgets for your dashboard, and I don't really have a problem if there was a widget for Brian's journal, just so you can sort of see what I do when I'm journaling. But I put on a trade for the Bybit competition, and it's interesting because I've done a couple trades now in this competition. And I'm noticing Brian's not so crisp as he thought he was. So this was the first trade, but this blog write-up, this journal write-up here was this entry here. And actually I was feeling pretty positive and about my attitude, my actions all through this period, because I had the trade on and I sort of said, well, I'll just live by the sword, die by the sword. Yesterday we had the market dump down into things like move stop to scratch levels. So I was feeling pretty positive. Saw the market go to new lows late last night. I thought I went on the Bybit platform and CFO'd my order, so that my stop should have been my entry, which really should not have been that big of a deal. And I woke up this morning and I had alarms set on TradingView with the audio alerts to wake me up and all that. And I woke up this morning to a nice little polite fill that I exited at my original stop level, not the stop level it should have been exited at, and I had to book a loss, or in essence I turned a winning trade into a losing trade. So, I mean, if anything, this is really good to show you that I'm human and I make mistakes just like everybody else. But at the same time, too, I kind of wanted, I even said in this competition, I want to be the demonstrator of best practices. And oh boy, am I ever getting schooled in not demonstrating best practices for you guys. And I made a mistake. And I even wrote in the little write-up that I got to, actually, Brian, two mistakes in a row, because this trade up here, it was questionable at best. So I got to actually, what I want to do, and I'll be doing this after I'm done with you guys in class today, is pull out the old mistake finder, Demon Hunter, and I'm going to have to show you guys that I can actually demonstrate consistency without making mistakes, because I'm a bit surprised at myself that I made such a egregious blunder here. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Should really never let a winning trade turn into a losing trade. It's bad psychologically. But also, too, like I said, I think it's more a commentary on that I'm not as crisp as I thought I was. And so this is the whole point of journaling, and the whole point of really looking in the mirror and seeing that Well, technically, if I followed the setup correctly and I didn't make mistakes, nothing really should have happened that was too egregious here. But because I made a mistake, the trading actually becomes much more difficult. So is this really a question of whether the setup works, or is this a question of you making mistakes? Also, too, and this is a really good commentary on this, is that crypto, unfortunately, is a 24/7 market. So that means that quite often times when you think you should be sleeping and enjoying nice resting periods and recharging for the next trading day, things are happening in this space. And what's interesting is this candle happened like about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning my time, and this candle happened at about 4 or 5 a.m. my time, which was just before I was waking up too, which really sucks. But anyway, it is what it is. Might as well take full ownership of it. And trading competition wise, I'm not doing so good for TRI. So my apologies to the team, but I'm just gonna keep on keeping on. So wish me luck, everybody. Now, that's not the best way to start. Hey, I want to be a good day trader, so let's go and listen to this guy. If anything, this is an excellent analogy that, hey, everybody's makes mistakes. Everybody is infallible. And if you can just simply admit to your mistakes and try and make a commitment to address them and not continue to make those mistakes, then, hey, that's half the battle here. So as I said just a moment ago, and if you need to do this too, not a bad idea. I will be going and grabbing my mistake finder, so I'll definitely show you guys this, see if I can walk through a demonstration of this in future episodes, and also the Demon Finder. And here's a good example where, is it really a setup that's wrong, that first trade? I don't think I actually followed the bot setup correctly, to be honest with you. And we'll sort of explore that in future episodes. And then the second one is, like here, incorrect stop placement. So, Brian's in the penalty box, and if anything, I got to work my way out and build your guys' trust in me that I can be the demonstrator of best practices. Wish me luck, everyone. All right, so with that said, party. Broader market, quick site update. We'll just simply say that we're working towards a January 1st launch of the screeners. So wish us luck in that. Marat and everybody who's helping to do daily brief notes and updates. Kevin, fantastic team. Grim was in the lounge this morning. He's, of course, done a fantastic job with the current level oneers. Site itself is humming along here. And we're almost on the cusp of a lot of this dashboard information being like really usable on a daily basis and giving information. So, here we are, the beginning of December. My hunch is probably somewhere about a month from now. Hopefully we'll have this all up and running. So super stoked, and of course keep your fingers crossed. As for broader market itself, still operating off of like our TradingView kind of platform and stuff. Where do we start today's crazy conversation? I don't know whether the public is going to get sick of it, but I do feel as though it's almost like the public has been played again. Past couple of days, the sentiment, of course, is, and then the leader of President Trump, whatever the hell you want to call him, comes out in one breath and says trade deals are off and don't expect anything till 2020. Then they come out today and they say, oh, we had constructive conversations and trade deals are back on, and the market is just left to go, what the hell is going on here? And in a weird sort of way, it kind of sort of fits our Pluto-Saturn cross narrative. It almost feels like the market is moving towards the point where people are not really going to believe what they're actually seeing anymore. which is really scary because that means sort of price disconnects with reality. This whole idea of fundamental value and all that kind of stuff gets thrown out the window. And then the entire market is just based purely on emotion, which gets extremely scary. Welcome to the 21st century. This is going to be a wild ride, that's for sure. So, what's the message today? As I said, Mr. Trump came out and sort of placated the market, I guess, by saying that trade talks are back on. So risk on, starting to catch a noticeable bid. Interesting how Bitcoin is actually moving with these guys. So I find that fascinating. We'll see if this correlation starts to kick back in again. It's quite remarkable the move in Bitcoin off of this failure here, how it completely disconnected with these two. But you can see all three are catching a half decent bid here today. And it's interesting, I was even asking Kevin before we started the broadcast whether he was still in his oil, and he said, yep, he let a little bit of it go. But so congratulations, Kevin. I see oil surging to new highs here, and of course this is this is their CFD index on the oil, so that in itself, but on balance, crude market is pretty strong here today. So, and what's kind of weird, we were even looking at this before. Who can tell me what's that 2-bar pattern everybody at TRI should know, and if you see it come in, you should respect that message. And actually, this also too, let's see, we'll just let anyone who's watching answer that. Does anybody have an answer? Please, can you share that? Are you talking to me, Benjamin? Or is that, my microphone seems to be working. I just was blabbing away there. What do you want me to share, dude? Which one? There's so many different things I was talking about there. Anyway, anybody? Oh, the mistake tracker. Well, it's in the library, dude. Just go into the library. All right, library. And, trading utilities. Mistake tracker, demon finder. And there's even a nice little checklist template for you to use. Okay, so hopefully you can just grab those. Yes, very good. So somebody got the answer. Way to go, Joe. Joseph was looking at this and goes, "Oh my stars! That is a." The textbook definition is doji bar, and then gap. And if we close here, the trade is one tick above today's high, whatever this high will be. We had a site member, God rest your soul, Joby, who passed away a few years ago. Jeez, I can't believe you can say it's a few years now. A couple years ago, at least. He used to love seeing these. He was just absolutely enamored by this. So we changed the name of the setup to a Joby Gap. So that's in your honor, Joby. Anyway, interesting signal, and it sure looks like the oil wants to press higher here. So, and if I understand correctly, fundamentals, they actually had a drawdown in crude supplies, if I'm not mistaken. Today is Wednesday, which means it's EIA day. This used to be the day, of course, that I would freak out as a crude prop trader. No, not really. But everybody out of the pond heading into the news event. And then once the news hit, then we could all pile back in. But here we are. So crude oil stocks were down 4.8 million barrels. They were expecting a draw of 1.73. Interesting to see gasoline stocks, though, actually a little bit of a build there. So, but this has got the market's attention, and that's why crude's moving up here now. It was interesting earlier on this morning. I heard lots of people squawking about non-manufacturing numbers. You can see U.S. had non-manufacturing PMI. That's the Purchasing Managers Index, or what we like to call like the wholesale number. And then they have and it's interesting, is non-manufacturing, so it's a service sector, so it's a little bit different. But nonetheless, the point here is came in a little bit softer than expected. I mean, not fall off a cliff. And, you can see things, like I said, a little bit softer. But, I mean, there was a little bit of firmness as well. So really mixed message from the econs wise, and not fall off the cliff like, oh my god, the market's collapsing kind of thing. So as a result, with these econs that are kind of like, meh, okay. And then Mr. Trump says what he says about trying to trade, and the market takes back a big dump part of what we lost yesterday. And we kind of, I just sort of overviewed that yesterday, in that, I think it was maybe later on in the day we noticed that this big red gapping candle actually turned into a hammer through the rest of the afternoon yesterday. I still, believe it or not, really like this idea of this upper channel line being tagged here. I still think that, 1 year anniversary, and I was even looking at Bitcoin. I mean, we all are very familiar with, where the hell is it? This study of this almost exactly, and it turns out it wasn't exactly 1 year here on Coinbase, but if I go from exactly the high to exactly the low, you can see December 17th to December 15th. So, we just saw the stock market hit a pivot low, and December 24th. Could it hit a pivot high within almost exactly 1 year? Sure. I mean, we just saw this happen in Bitcoin. In a weird sort of way, I got a funny feeling that just like our 50% rule kind of retracement on Bitcoin, following that 1 year telegraph move, boo-boo-boo, I think we're going to see the same thing in the stock market. And in a weird sort of way, watching the way this market is moving parabolically up, this to me totally feels like the end of a move. You can sort of see how it's sort of going parabolically up here. So, there is December 24th. Could we have some sort of nutso blow off top candle? And maybe even if we, I don't know, I guess that wouldn't make sense. But, maybe up 1.618, maybe some just nutso insano blow off top all the way up to 200% here. I mean, it is totally realistic. And that's exactly the opposite, which means that, basically into June, right, we should probably look for, half of this time period, the market to work its way, probably June there, back to about 256. It really wouldn't shock me one bit here. So I do remember yesterday we had sort of said that, oh my God, this is an absolute mess up here. Straight up and then straight down. So there's no real sort of top here. And really, I think you got to sort of let this thing settle down. And, if you were shorting inclined M tops kind of thing, I think at the very least we got to sort of maybe wait for something like that, right? So that's, I don't know if that's going to happen like that. Who knows? But my hunch is we're probably going to see these highs tested again, because there's even a gap right up there, and that's the Dow. If we look at even the NASDAQ, Jesus, this just looks like chop suey. So big old hole right up there. That's not going to be left open. Gapping violent, hammer reversal, right back into the gap now. My hunch is probably a bit of back and forth, and then we work our way up into here. And so, if we were thinking some sort of top, I wonder if actually, it would be interesting. I saw some Raf. Raf's such a monster. I don't know whether he was here for the meetup this summer, so I hope you got to meet him then. He was at the UK meetups. Really fun guy. But anyway, he's super big on harmonics, and it turns out that was a crab setup for him off of lower time frames. So I wonder if I'm kind of thinking like almost like Shark or Wolf Wave or one of the, or maybe a Cipher, one of those really exotic harmonic patterns that's going on here. So all the site members that are watching this later on, tell me if you can see some sort of crazy ass harmonic developing through here, like Steven and stuff, all you guys. And actually, we've got a new harmonic guy on the site. I think Owen absolutely loves harmonics, so it'd be interesting to get their take on what they see going on here. And by all means, if any of you guys want to give a presentation or anything on what you see harmonically, Raf, you have the open mic if you want it. Okay, so long and short of risk on, risk off, stocks are catching a bid after that crazy ass top there. Is that really a top? I don't know. Certainly no M's or anything there yet. Oil just broke to new highs after a very tight top. So thinking that might have been a bit of a trap there. And, for whatever it's worth, I really like some of our little energy names. This is one of the names in our TRI. We did have TRI SOF Club meeting last night. We didn't really have anything concrete new come out of the meeting other than, what do I want to do here? We had, that's weird. Let's see. Any new ideas that came out of the meeting last night? This VTVT. Really interesting looking little name there. Again, more sort of pharmaceutical sector ideas. In fact, actually, I have like a list. If you're interested in pharma stocks, there's a whack of them for you to look at. Zach and I, we recently picked up a position in here. I've been squawking about this Gemfire. I think there's a trade developing in here. Idera just broke to new lows, so I don't know whether he's ready yet. Probably have to give him a bit more time. The CLDX, of course, I told you how much I love the look of that thing in there. CIT, of course, I've talked to you guys at length now. Big fat weekly W, sons of bitches. This XBIO looks interesting. I don't like the fact that it just made a new low there, but it does look interesting. That VL, was it VTVT? Yeah. VTV, I like the look of this stock. That's a good looking little stock in there. So there's something that came out of the meeting last night, and I think we even put on the screen. I can't remember whether they have options or not. I can't recall off the top of my head. We also saw this interesting name. Now, fundamentally, it isn't the best numbers, but technically, gee whiz. 12.5 call, Residio Technologies. I don't know the company in particular, but the 12.5 calls, if the market goes back to 50% rule, fills in gap kind of thing, these calls are going to be worth a good few bucks, at least a couple bucks. And it was interesting that yesterday's price action was a big honking outside upside key reversal. So, if you are TRI SOF inclined, there was something that came out of the meeting last night. Interesting idea. Yeah, so I had mentioned yesterday, not yesterday, just a moment ago. Sorry. Yesterday, 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks, whatever. Some of these energy stocks are looking really, really interesting. I absolutely love that REI. I think this thing, really good looking energy name here. What's interesting about this is you notice, this is actually sort of the hallmark, I think, of a half decent idea, is when they do bottom and then they come down and tag mountain man levels and then zingo, just get their butt out of there. This also might be kind of like what we saw in crude. This might be a Joby gap. And it actually might even create this funny little empire with all these gaps in here, or an island reversal. And if that's the case, man, that might stay in there a while. But interesting level. You can see last Joby gap. Look what came out of that. So keep your eyes open in the energy space. There's some really interesting ideas, and like I said, that AR that we have been kicking around with a bit. You can see the big gapping bar higher here, potential daily double bottom. Maybe what this carves out is a nice railroad tracks on the weeklies. Might be a bit early just yet to call any kind of weekly bottom there. And then lastly, I'm still hanging in on my GPOR. They came after my stops yesterday, but I said I was going to risk to this low here. And you can see they brought the market down. They cleaned out these stops, and they've gapped this thing higher here this morning. So we'll see what happens, but I've got a bit of insulation now on this guy. And, of course, if he goes and W's, nice little inside bar. Actually, that won't be an inside. It's going to be a week or two here before we see any sort of weekly turns. So I kind of like energy names in here, and let's see. Okay, so back to our risk on, risk off. Bitcoin, as we said, and it was weird. I actually put out a tweet yesterday saying, with the stock market malaise kind of caught market's attention. Is Bitcoin maybe out of sort of the shorting sort of framework? It's already been dumped hard. Maybe the big boys aren't really that interested anymore. And in a weird sort of way, this price action that I told you about this morning, this big move higher after, basically the market was just working its way lower, right, basically down into reload zones. I went to sleep last night. I was feeling pretty good, seeing lower lows and market just basically doing its thing. Wasn't even a key reversal here. So I was, and I guess the way that we have to chalk this up is, basically that was a dip into the reload zone and then no more. I also looked at this and went, look left. Gee whiz, that's all open air here. We really should go down and test these lows, but nope, sorry. Broke to new lows there. Gee whiz, right through the London kill zone. Nice little FU. They had the market looking nice and downy. Then through the London kill zone, right basically on the Q. Pow! Up she goes. Nice little consolidation, and then woohoo! So, we were kind of joking about this in the lounge this morning. In a weird sort of way, this price action in itself is actually a market message. So lots of very well-defined M's, V bottoms, well-defined M's, V bottoms, big stop runs. Probably, I don't know whether we M out here. This V bottom after lots of market structure. Again, V bottom after, market structure. Ironically enough, if I actually look at this, the market structure signal says that this is a bear. And the V bottoms, right, sort of confirm that. M tops, V bottoms, that's basically a bear market. But at the same time, too, these massive FU candles wiping out these market structure levels. This, to me, I'm really liking the idea when I look at this that this is a classic sort of, we're at the bottom end of the range. The guys that were short, and I remember when we were talking about this, inside bar failure, oh boy, look out, cover your shorts or your longs, beg your pardon. I didn't short, but I should have, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but oh well. And then dumping into here, and the market is just feeling exhausted down here. It's like it wants to press lower, same thing, new weekly lows, but it's just getting exhausted. And we're getting lots of like FUs. Now, what the bull does have the opportunity here, because you notice things like, the MACD histograms. The pushes to new lows, kind of like what we just showed you there off that lower time frame, they're kind of running out of steam and they're running out of momentum. And in essence, that's what these MACD studies are kind of trying to illustrate, is that, they haven't W'd yet, but if they do W, then that'll actually start creating weekly divergences, and I think basically the bear slide is done. I don't think that's the case just yet, but I did say over the past couple of days that if you saw this weekly candle turn green, then that probably means that, the bear has just been exhausted. Now, we'll see what happens. Obviously, the week is still young. I mean, if you were an outright bull, you'd like to see this market blast through that high there. So I got a funny feeling we're still in for a bit more games. You notice they did not take the highs out here. Pulled it right back to my original stop level, and gee whiz, here we are consolidating. And if anything, what I have to do right now is don't revenge trade. Don't revenge trade. Don't revenge trade. I could easily go, oh, fuck it, man. Throw that short right back on where I showed it, and now I'm going to make money. And then damn market goes up and eats this wick, and I look like a total idiot. Total lack of professionalism and not trading setups, and gee whiz, all of you would lose faith in me, blah, blah, blah. Or I could say, screw it, man. This is a bull. I got to buy. I got stopped out. If there isn't a setup that I can sort of walk through the logical process why I'm actually doing the trade, then I think I'm not really demonstrating best practices. So as a result, I got to let this thing settle down. And unfortunately, this price action tells me, wicks like to be eaten, so we could very easily explore right back up into here. Isn't it interesting how this wick right here, that's basically where the market stops. So all the trap bulls that, remember, I was a part of that nonsense, and I got stopped out and walked away. There were people who probably still had that trade on, and we're like, no, I'm not going to sell at a loss. All right, I'll just work your order, and finally they got released there. So fascinating to see that. Which means, we've got this funny little tail down here. Remember last night into that London kill zone, there are a bunch of trap bears there. And of course we got this massive wick from this morning. So really, I hate to say it, but I still think, right now, I think our trading lane range is now about $7,000 to the downside here on this buy bit, and basically these highs up here. Could we see a little flirt with this high? Sure. There's still some trap bulls way up top there that would love to be released. And that's 78 and change, or 7,900. So we got about a nice 10% trading range right now. It's interesting to see. There's some more commentary in the lounge and stuff from guys like that Tomcat, that this buy bit competition seems a little bit rigged. If you run the numbers and you know how to sort of finesse the terms of the agreements and stuff, you can kind of cheat, if you will. Kobayashi Maru. I posted that in the lounge. And frankly speaking, I'm not really in this to win this. And as this clearly shows, if anything, this is a really good practice of me. Like, I'm all like, oh, best practices, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not demonstrating best practices right now. So, if anything, it's a really good commentary that Brian, not as good as he says he is, needs to crisp up, needs to eat a little bit of humble pie. And needs to maybe take this trading on this platform a little more seriously. Anyway, it is what it is. Okay, so we kind of talked about broader market. Really interested in these energy stocks. Then I suppose we probably ought to go. So we talked about the risk on sort of side of the market. I did notice that. Just to finish off that sort of risk on sort of side of the market kind of conversation, did notice things like OKCoin actually did break the top. Now, was that a stop run, typical OKCoin shenanigans? Could be. It's interesting how CME also went after the stops there as well. So you could actually make the argument that that buy bit actually, so Stamp did not. And MEX, interestingly enough, did MEX actually run those stops? Where are we here? 78.70. 7,800 even. Interesting. So interesting how we have quite a bit of disconnect here. The CME and the OKCoin guys, they did run those stops, but the Stamp guys and the MEX people, of all people, not to run the stops. That's a bit surprising. But interesting, when we look up at these profiles, you can see these funny little notches all on the profiles right up here. So I don't think we're necessarily done with these levels. And interestingly enough, if you like OKCoin and you just trade off of breaks of levels, that's actually a big-ass double bottom now. And interestingly enough, this original fractal bottom, And if you think head and shoulder thesis, ironically enough, that's actually still just working away. So go figure. And even the algo got sucked into thinking short there, and I guess just got stopped out. So it's weird. Like we had the whole market, everything was trending hard down, and then there was just a big poop, and that I think is a really powerful message of the market, regardless of what your trading results are. Like hell, I lost money. I think that's an important message from the market that we should respect. It feels like we're a lot closer to a bottom, and I had sort of said in the lounge that I felt like this is the hallmark of the market that's close to a bottom. It hasn't officially turned, it's still a bear, but you can get this sort of writing on the walls that the bears are getting exhausted and maybe a little tired in here. So, interesting. Okay, so that's sort of risk on. Risk off, you can see the gold having a bit of a pullback, not too much. The bonds really got thumped here, obviously, on the anticipation, and it seems to me they are very susceptible to that trade talk kind of stuff. Also, the econs, they didn't come out today train wreck. They came out relatively okay. Yes, the service sector showed a bit of a contraction again, but nothing like no minus under 50 readings from any of those, so not really signs of contraction. So the bond market is giving back a big, and you can see this bond market's just up and down like a you-know-what. We might even be painting in an inverted head and shoulders here. And I suppose if Mr. Trump comes out and says, screw China, and of course total bullshit, just playing the public, we could see these bonds actually confirm this inverted head and shoulders and head right back up top. I'll be watching for whether these levels, but I'm not, this is my TRI SOF trade. I'm not really interested in touching this because remember my target on the bonds is actually way down here. So I still think there's more to go to the downside, but we'll see how it goes. Unlike the bonds, which were V-bottomy, and I guess you could say very much like the yen, V-bottomy. The gold actually does have a double bottom working here. I think if anything, this is a great analogy of our LJs, where this double bottom came in. Yes, it was still part of it inside the channel, and I really like the idea of waiting for the W on the other side of the trend line. And interesting too how when we did a channel off of these lows and then projected it back up against this high, you notice the midpoint stopped the rally in its tracks there yesterday. A really, really good application of channels. So regardless of whether you're going to take trades that Brian's doing or not, I do like the idea that when you watch these daily briefs, there is stuff that you can learn and go, oh, okay, I see that. I've never seen that before. I haven't really talked too much about channels recently, but really good example where all I did was I just draw the trend line off of boobity boo and then just drag that channel line back up to the most recent pivot high, which is that, and it paints this really interesting point. And I noticed that the midpoints of these channels are very, very powerful. So I think that's actually a 38.2 off of this entire range. I suppose if we did like things like reload zones. Didn't quite. So 38.2 also appears to be basically 61.8 of just this small range. So interesting that we stalled out just below there. I would have thought Mountain Man would have been hit there, but nonetheless, maybe that means we could work a bit higher here. No outright sell signal there on the gold, but at the same time too, for us to be like, all right, this is a bull, then actually now is when we need to see a W come in here. So keep our eyes peeled, and key support. We could very easily come right back down to this juncture of these two trend lines, no problem whatsoever. Candle body lows for trade location. Probably if you did reload zones off of this range, if you are interested in the gold. Yep, 78.6. Tag of the bottom of the other side of this channel and tag of this trend line. You can see that would be just the sickest trade location right in there. We'll see what happens. And looking at the big gold stocks, I think if that does happen, things like Barrick, we talked about this. There is the double bottom on the other side of the trend line, so I do believe this double bottom is active. And we had a crazy ass shooting star there yesterday. It looks like they're coming back in to fill the gaps in. And just like that gold chart, probably, and I don't know whether that's, actually that's almost flat, isn't it? Interesting. I don't know whether we can go off of that, but you know, if you are interested in playing this, let's see how this gap fill and basically a test of 61.8 acts in here. If we got a nice little inside bar reversal, that would be cool to see. But I mean, I don't expect anybody on the site to be trading this, but interesting to watch that that biggest gold stock in the world slowly turn and work its way back up. And then I'm watching also Newmont. We talked recently about this channel on RSI, and I think actually maybe I had it on a different time frame. Is that the weekly? Yeah, maybe I saw for the weekly. So still sort of sitting inside that weekly channel on the RSI, but you can see the bot levels are starting to come in. So, you know, if we did get that pullback in the other names, let's see if a double bottom can set up off of here. And I said I was going to watch the options here, so this thing's doing its thing. I wouldn't be surprised if we run up into a bit of resistance there, then pull back, which creates an inverted head and shoulders. And it almost seems like maybe, like, you know, in about 2 or 3 weeks, that maybe, you know, stock market has blow off top into that just 1 year anniversary of the bottom last year. Maybe these guys all sort of calm down a little bit into that same pivot. And if you were interested in participating, that's when I would be hunting for that. It's interesting to see how gold and silver stocks, they just keep working this bot higher, but I never did get any real like solid trade level. Could probably look at this from like a hourly basis or something, and you probably saw something there to work with. Yeah, it's tough. You know, V bottom, straight to move stop to scratch, so I don't think I really had any way to actually trade that. But it's interesting to see. I think probably he wants to get up into that sort of 100 area. But at the same time, too, lots of gaps. And, you know, if risk on is back on, I could see this thing pull back to support here. So nothing really to do there. And I've got, I think I showed you guys yesterday or the day before, but I have a small list of gold stocks. Some of them are VCIM names. Some of them are just outright. I want to buy them just because I want to have a bit of gold stock on the books at the bottom end of the range here. I don't know how I save this. Did I save it? Pharma. Consumers. It doesn't look like it. I thought I'd saved a little list of gold stocks. Maybe this is it. Survey says, yeah, here they are. So if you are interested in the gold sector, here's a list of ones that I'm in right now. You know, palladium stocks, still looking for a new palladium stock. If anybody happens to find one, let me know. There's the Alio that I put on. That was sort of an intermediate size gold stock. If gold really is getting going, I think this guy will double bottom here. And then a whole bunch of VCIM sort of penny names. The new Carlin, I think, is basically a perfect VCIM tax loss sell buy right now. Same with the Timberline. I'm not sure about Magnum. I think they need to roll their stock back. Transition here, unfortunately, it's a bit expensive here. If you did want to participate, I would be bidding down here. Watching this silver stock, no signs of a bottom yet whatsoever, so nothing to do there. And I was really interested in zinc, and often actually it's interesting, a lot of silver funds actually have zinc in them as well. So interesting to see the correlation in the price chart, but nonetheless, you know, Great Panther's really having a lot of trouble here. So there's nothing to do there, no buy signal or anything. And then I was interested in this zinc name, but it just made a new low, so I'm not really in a huge hurry there. But if anybody has like good looking gold stocks that are putting in double bottoms that are relatively cheap, let me know, man. I definitely want to build my list. All right, well, that's that. Some of the other sectors I'm watching in the stock market, crypto stocks. Not really seeing the signs of any W's just yet. Watching Novogratz stock here pretty closely. It's basically down in a buying range, buying window. So going to keep close eye on him. Hut, a miner, and what a stock I really wouldn't mind having. And actually, this is an interesting commentary. I don't even know if these guys are on here or not. But somebody posted in the lounge this morning, which I thought was so cool. And I went and I actually asked him, and it turns out somebody actually did this chart up on TradingView. So thanks for posting it anyway. Totally love it. But it's really cool to see all the different sort of cost of productions of different... and I don't know whether these are actually mining firms or mining equipment or how that works. But really interesting to sort of just get a graphic. Those are mining rigs. All right, thank you very much. So really cool to get this kind of graphic. I know that, I'm not quite sure exactly what equipment HUD is running, but I do know that they said that their cost of production was something around 4,000 or 5,000 or something like that. That might have been Canadian dollars. I'm not exactly sure. But anyway, really interested in this, and of course making new lows here, so there's really no buy signal just yet. And Riot, we picked up some call options there, but same sort of thing. No real signs of a bottom yet there, so I'm not really interested in picking up stock just yet. And then all our sort of our triumvirate of speculative VSE penny stocks to play the blockchain space. I like my old silver mining guy. Keep in mind, this guy's a capitalist. Just because... thanks, Grim. Appreciate it. Yeah, tell me about it. Grim saying here, I'm a consummate professional. I'm a shitty trader, but I'm a consummate professional. I'm just a professionally shitty trader. But anyway, thanks, Grim. I appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, the good part about it, if anything, here, like I said, I want to be the demonstrator of best practices. All right, so your trading sucks. Now what do you do? And hopefully I'll be a demonstrator of, now these are the things you need to do to try and make sure you don't make mistakes. Anyway. Okay, so point of the matter here is if you can, I love the idea of taking advantage of tax loss selling season to buy cheap assets. And I like the idea of, the net coins. We don't necessarily have any word that insiders are loading up down here, but they just did a big rollback. And of course, Brian, he loves when they roll back stock. There's Blockchain to Inc. I still think this is a pretty good proxy in this space. And of course, they rolled their stock back there. And you see, we're right back basically against all key previous lows here. I love that. Institutional buying against the lows, that kind of conversation. So if you can take advantage of tax loss selling season, I'm telling you, this is the only business where when stuff goes on sale, nobody wants to buy. So really good example. I think this whole space is basically on sale right now. And, kind of like site participation wise, what a surprise. The public really isn't that interested right now. On a sort of dovetail to that, I was watching that Chico Crypto guy. And I think he does some half-decent research, and what I'm sort of hearing is a reoccurring theme. He seems to really like the fact that Ethereum is getting close to 2.0, and there was some bigwig that he was interviewing. Go watch the video. He wasn't interviewing. He sort of just copied their sort of public podcast, and these guys are actually pretty... somebody just totally sandbagged me here. What does Peter say? Peter says, as far as I remember, Brian here is trading in A-Zone, which previously said it was a dangerous one. Brian, in my opinion, is trading pressed by the 2-week duration of this competition. Excellent observation, Peter. That's probably pretty good. Yeah, I agree with you. You know, I've said repeatedly for the public that this is a like on Bitcoin, that this is a very, very dangerous, ugly market state. Yeah. What I will say, Peter, though, is that I think I had a valid bot setup, and I think that the setup, if I was trading in the zone, in Mark Douglas's zone, I should have been stopped out at scratch. I just fucked up. It's just that simple, right? This should have been, I should have reported, next bus, 10 minutes, I walked away at scratch. I mean, if I was trading in the zone, that's what I should have been telling you this morning. So what it could have, should is, if anything, I like the fact, though, that I fucked up and, you know, I journaled it. You got to download these emotions. Don't carry this baggage subconsciously. That gets really dangerous. And you can unleash things like revenge trading and trading with emotion and stuff. But, you know, I basically tried to just release my feelings and don't carry the baggage. But at the same time, too, acknowledge the fact that I fucked up. Right? It's just that simple. But I like your comment there, Peter. That's why I read it aloud. I mean, I like your guys' input. And it's 1 + 1 = 3. You know, if anybody here's like, well, Brian, you know, I found this totally cool tool to try and help you with dealing with stops at 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, on these international exchanges. This might help you. I'd appreciate that. And that's the whole point of this site, right? Is to try and 1 + 1 = 3. Okay, so where the hell was I? I got totally sidetracked. Oh, yeah. So, you know, I do like the idea of tax loss selling here in the stock market in crypto names. And then I went on with that Chico crypto guy. I mean, you do your own fundamental research. I mean, that's really at the end of the day what's really important. I've always sort of talked about how I really like this RLC. It was one of the survivors of the catastrophe. I didn't of 2018 bear. I didn't participate in this chain link, but I can completely understand the technical breakout here. I mean, it should be pretty obvious. I can't really touch this one right now. I do really like the look of this Enigma. What do you think, guys? Is this kind of a name that you could see Brian getting interested in down here? And really, you know, this is exactly what I want the site thinking. So this is another one of the coins. And what's interesting about this, and this is what I'm sort of hearing out of that Chico crypto guy, is that a coin like Enigma is all about sort of working with the Ethereum blockchain system and building tools to create sort of privacy and like secret sort of side chains and all that kind of stuff. So that means that by definition, if things like Enigma, and if I understand RLC is the same, not the same thing, but it is tied into the Ethereum network, it means by definition that they were talking about Ethereum 2.0. One of the, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's some sort of bigwig in Intel that has joined all these guys' development teams. I'm getting the message, the impression that for these ideas to work, and they like these ideas to work, this has to work. And gee whiz, here we are coming into the end of the year. Has anybody ever noticed whether Ethereum likes to bottom into the end of the year? Rob says, it does. And she's supposed to say, it does. Ruff, meow. It's nice to see you back on the call here, Rob. I haven't seen you in a while. And I do notice every once in a while you pop in.
Yeah, roar.
There we go for the win. And we had such a special treat. Alex Renberg, the mayor of Vienna, he popped in yesterday. So it's great to see the OGers are still OGing around. So anyway, and you know, if you want to see visual evidence, what was so cool, isn't that interesting? So this doesn't even go back that far. Isn't that funny? If you look at how are we gonna do this, ETHUSD, if you look at Ethereum over the years, maybe it'll show it on Stamp. Nope. Oh, no. That's the one thing I don't like about this crazy crypto and trading view and all this is all of a sudden the data just mysteriously disappears. There was a guy that did a really cool video on linear regression, I think it was, log scale linear regression on Bitcoin. Beautiful chart. In fact, actually, I even was we were talking about it with Marat. I think Marat was the one who found it. And geez, this doesn't even. I guess that's where it started. So the point I'm trying to make here was that he was using data from 2010, and we can't even get that data on TradingView. It drives you crazy. But anyway, once upon a time in Ethereum land, we actually had a site member who we tried to make him very famous into the end of the year. His name was Michael. I think he did pretty well through that crypto bull market. But he famously came out and made a bullish call on Ethereum right through this double bottom, right? Down, up, down, breakout on heavy volume. And look what time of year it was. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was really big on Then that wasn't that year. When he was really big on Stellar Lumens, that was, I think he came on, that was through here or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, the point of the matter is that can you see what time of year? Right? Do you see December and then January? Kaboom! And how about the previous year? Well, let's go back. There, gee whiz, do we see a reoccurring theme here? Yeah, that's December and then January. Kaboom! So I don't know. You guys want to make any money? Does anybody want to do anything here? I don't know. So here we are. It's the beginning of December. We just made a new low. Into November. You think it's in our best interest to maybe keep an eye out for W's heading into the end of the year? I guess this is the new year right here. Oh, yeah. Right there. So wouldn't that be cool to see this thing go? I don't know whether this is the low or not, but just do something like that, and away we go again. And it probably actually won't happen until the new year. So I do yourself a favor, everyone. Keep a close eye on this through here. So anyway, the point is that I definitely I like the idea of leveraging the internet, social media, all that kind of stuff, just to get ideas, right? And what are people interested in? What are they talking about? What are they jazzed about? I'm not endorsing this Crypto Chico guy. Frankly, I couldn't give a rat's ass about the guy. He's just another talking head on the internet, just like me. Right? I'm sure there's probably a lot of people listen to me and go, this guy's such a airbag talking head kind of guy. That's fine. I don't care what they think of me. But at the same time, too, he's pounding the table pretty hard on these names. So I like to look at the charts and, hopefully everybody can see, gee whiz, that's not only a weekly W. Like on this RLC, that's a goddamn monthly W. I mean, we got to pay attention here, folks. So, hopefully everybody can see this. So the writing's on the walls in some areas. And I might make the argument that, again, just kind of like what I said about Bitcoin and that sort of trading off the lower time frames, forcing the trade. And, I think, somebody's saying another altcoin. I think I remember him saying something about that ENJ as well. But I guess somebody's squawking in the lounge that ENJ is popping right now. So, there are names that are hopping here. Where the hell was that? I guess let's do it over here. ENJ. So Fred says, get ready to have your brain blown out here. What? No. All right, well, let's see what we got here. Hey, there you go. Nice move. Oh, actually, this just made a new closing low, and that's, of course, on Binance. But, it's constructive. Intraday, what do we make a low there? 481, 469. Yeah. Again, it's constructive. I don't know whether we're at the bottom, but, again, If anything, what a great analogy of what sort of market's trying to transition from bear, oh, I'm a bear, I'm a bear, I'm a bear, I'm a bear, to, hey, look at that, there's a higher low, and now I'm a bull, and look at that volume. So, and how ironic, eh? I don't know whether you saw this, Fred, but do you see how basically all they did was they just brought the market right back down to the original breakout? Said, no, what, you know what, I think we're good here. And now they're turning her back up. So, yeah, just another example that I think we're a heck of a lot closer to the bottom than we are the top, guys. Okay. Oh, holy crap, it's already 10 o'clock. Man, I didn't even get to half of the stuff I wanted to talk about. Anyway, I'll just give you a quick screenshot. Here are some of the consumer-related companies and stocks I'm interested in right now. We've got this Express. No idea to I got a class I have to teach here, though, so I got to hop. Ascena, interesting little weekly double bottom that could potentially be coming in here. So for all those that are bottom hunters in retail. Sonos, you already know the story there. If anything, I was quite pleased to see these lows hold. If that December 24th kind of market melt-up thesis is true, hopefully we can get a nice little pop back up top before those options expire. Love my David's T. Really good looking chart. And if anything, Zach, if you're watching this later on, we should probably go and see if we can try and buy another series of these calls here, because I do think this thing's probably going to pop into the spring. Really like this Java. Notice it's kind of backing off here this morning. But again, hopefully everybody sees the logic of why I'm interested in these things. And then we've got one sort of consumer retail furniture store. These guys are, on the outs, no doubt about it. We did a little bottom fish here. We'll see how it turns out, but I even warned everybody. Actually, I warned Kevin just before we got the daily brief going. Get ready, guys. If you did take this options trade, don't be shocked. They've got earnings coming out tomorrow. This could be all over the map here. So be forewarned. If the number's ugly, and the number last quarter was pretty ugly out of these guys, you can see what can happen to these things. So we're not really in a big hurry here, but at the same time, too, hopefully you can understand the logic, just simply hunting against the bottom end of a range here. And we picked up some calls, so we didn't actually buy stock. So those are some consumer names that I'm interested in. Pharma names, I think we talked a little bit about this before. And again, same logic. There really shouldn't be anything new here. Just simply hunting against bottom ends of ranges. The stocks and ideas that we reviewed yesterday in the daily brief, in the TRI SOF club meeting, we picked up a bit of this pharma name OCX recently, and we picked up a bit of this. Actually, we didn't buy, but somebody mentioned this yesterday, and I think it's a good looking stock here. This VTVT. So we'll be looking at trying to get in on that. So. All right, I think I'll probably leave it at that for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Unfortunately, Brian, a little bit scatterbrained this morning, a little disappointed in myself. So, if anything, hopefully I can at least demonstrate how I can start crisping my trading up. I mean, I was pleased at the fact that, when this level was broken, I obeyed my stop and acted appropriately. So there wasn't really any behavioral issues here. This was more of, it's 2:30 in the morning, alarms were going off. Did I really have a clear mind to put this trade on? I don't think so. So it's interesting on the Demon Finder. I think this is about setup. And this one here, this was just a simple mistake. And I should have been stopped at scratch, but I had to take a loss. So, oh boy, Brian, way to go. Okay, well, there is your market update for Wednesday. We'll have a big old dose of Julian tomorrow. Then, if we're really lucky, we'll have a nice dose of Colin on Friday. So give you some different, fresh perspectives. 1 + 1 = 3. Let's all try and work together to make us all better traders. Okay, guys, I think we'll leave it at that. What a wonderful image to leave the screen on. Have yourselves a great day. All the best, and bye for now.